Hello everyone, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, click on that notification bell, share, like, dislike, comment, let us know what you're thinking. You could also leave a review and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you want to leave a donation to the Angel of Words podcast, you can Cash App us at AOWENT. Now, today, on the Angel of Words podcast, we will be talking to Franchesca Carrasco, human resources expert, on deck on the Angel of Words podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Angel of Words podcast. I am your host, Angel of Words, and today we have human resources expert, Miss Franchesca Carrasco. Miss Carrasco, thank you for joining us today here at the Angel of Words podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. Well, you know, human resources is everywhere. I didn't know what the heck that was until I, got a corporate gig back in the days, and I'm like, yeah, but what's this? It's like you just don't start working, you just dealing with the owners themselves. But this is a big deal, and I'm glad that you're here to talk to us because you've been the director, the generalist. You've basically ran the gamut of all human resources jobs. So I want to start off with what does human resources mean to you, and why is it so important to the hiring process and the overall tone of the company?
So, HR is basically that main function of any business, really. You can't really function properly with more than 20 employees without an HR person there. So I've literally been like one person HR for about 12 years. So I've done every aspect of HR there is. So it's not just onboarding, but it's onboarding, the payroll as well, benefits, it's employee relations, it's training, it's management, it's coaching. It's basically just making the business run as swiftly and smoothly as possible, as efficiently as possible. It's mainly it's that one person or that one department that you go to when you have any issues, right? So whether
you're like the police,
Yeah, basically. Basically.
That's why my man hated them on The Office, They always had that situation.
Basically, we're the police and the firefighters as well, because any issues, we have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
So it's anything that comes down to it, it's all on HR at the end of the day.
You're like the mom of the company, the mom slash popo.
Psychologist. It's everything and anything really. So
oh my God. That must be
a
nuts.
Lot. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that don't really understand what HR does, they're like, oh, you just push paperwork all day.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
no, but you work for big companies, you work for small companies, so you know what it is to deal with a plethora of different personalities. That must be nuts.
Yeah, so it's dealing with all those personalities, making sure that all those personalities fit. Like when you hire someone for a job, like I don't just hire them off of skill set. Okay. I hire them off of their personality. Okay. If you can be great at what you do, but if your personality is horrible, I'm not going to hire you.
So you have to fit the team structure, I guess. And do you actually ask those questions, or is it like more the manager's side, the executives?
It's all
really?
Yeah.
So you've been involved, really been part of the hiring.
I'm usually the first round to hire. So if you make it past me, then you go on to the next department or the department head or the CEO.
Oh my God!
But you have to make it past me though.
So you're the most judgmental person I probably ever met. Do you walk around just judging people all day? That must be crazy.
I mean, I have a very refined skill set for that, I'd say.
Yeah.
I do judge people, but I do give them a chance as well. There have been some people in the past that have come in to interview for me, and I've jumped them off the bat, but then throughout the interview, they're just amazing at what they do, and their personality just shines through, and I'm just like, you completely amaze me, and here you go, you have the job. So that's just how it's been. But these days it's different with like hiring through Zoom and stuff like that. You know, like these days HR has changed a lot and it's evolved a lot, especially during the COVID pandemic, and a lot of new rules from like OSHA guidelines and the CDC and the World Health. Like HR has changed so much in that aspect of things that it's not just the usual things that we have done in the past. So it's usually what we have done in the past plus COVID as well, and plus keeping
how's that training for COVID?
Everyone in the safest as well.
Do you go like to a special school? Like, is it something that's provided by your employer? How does that work? So
there are trainings for it, for like tracing and stuff like that. There's free courses on like so it's like called Coursera. I take a lot of free courses there. It's just basically just to up my skill set and just make me more alert on certain things. But they have a course there that's like a tracing course. So it basically goes through on how to start the tracing. So if one of your employees is like sick, how far back do you have to go to trace it? What do you have to do? And like steps like that. But COVID's become a lot, and it's landed all on HR, unfortunately. So it's whatever we had to do in the past plus COVID now.
Wow, that must be crazy.
It's crazy.
And then you're doing the Zoom. But I figured the Zoom would be easier to get a gauge on people's personalities. I don't know. Because like the way they act on camera to me is like the way that you really are.
No.
You know?
I'm totally different. I'm totally different in person than I am on camera. Yeah. Especially like now, like I've done a lot of interviews for my own self because where I was prior, we were closing. So I had to interview a lot through Zoom. Yeah. And eventually you got the hang of it, but at first, like, you're nervous. Like, you're really nervous because it's just like you're not in person. And I feel like your personality shines through when you're in person. And when you're through the camera, it's only in this little piece and it just shows this and like that's it. Yeah. You know, so it's just like you have to try, I feel like, a little bit harder during these times to get a job. And unfortunately, a lot of companies now, it's not just that one interview that you would normally go through. It's like 4, 5, 6 rounds. And it's hard. It's really hard.
Wow. Now, in terms of like, you know, because there's a lot of talk, you know, in the country, especially, you know, the election's over now, but like, you know, there's been talk of like systemic racism, things of that nature, and like not hiring somebody based on what their name is. Have you ever experienced that in any of these locations you worked at?
Not really. I've been very lucky at the places that I've worked where we've tried to be as diverse as possible. Yeah. I guess I had one job that was mainly like white, I'd say. Yeah. But we were trying to bring more of the minority factor in there, of more of a diverse factor there. Okay. I was mainly the minority person there, and I'm Hispanic, but you know, like, so me being there for about like a year and a half, like I did bring on more, but they were trying to expand. Before they like weren't. They were a very Chinese driven business. So then when I came on, I was basically in charge of the HR here, and so then I basically just brought on more of a diverse factor there. It's mainly just changing how people used to think. I feel that when you go into a business and they're very old school in that sense, it's harder to change someone's mind if they're older and if they're not willing to actually change.
Yeah, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, exactly. You know? The age-old adage. Yeah. Now, Franchesca, talk about compliance. I never want to go there. Compliance, labor relations. Are you involved in that aspect? You know,
it's about keeping everybody compliant and up to date with safety. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. I feel like the word sounds worse than it really is.
Sounds very scary. It's an intimidating word, you know.
It does. But it's just mainly making sure that people are safe at the end of the day. That's really what it is, and making sure that we're following all the new rules and all the new guidelines. That's mainly what the compliance factor is. But now with COVID, like, you have to deal with that as well.
Oh Lord, that must just be a whole hot mess.
Yeah, it was literally during like the middle of it, because we're still in it, but during the middle of it, when they kept changing laws every other week, like, it's hard to keep up because you're not only dealing with those laws, but you're dealing with your regular HR stuff as well. And then during me, because we were closing down our stores, we were dealing with the business closing as well. So not only was I dealing with COVID, but I was dealing with the riots that were going on because those might have affected our stores. I was dealing with the fires out in Cali and Portland and stuff like that because those could have affected our stores and our associates as well. And then I was also dealing with, there was one thing else. I forgot what it was. But I was dealing with all of that. And then on top of that, we were closing down our stores.
And unemployment, I would imagine. Processing those files.
Our unemployment, thankfully, the job that I had, we had a separate department for that.
Yeah.
For the past year. So, I mean, that was great. So they got to deal with all of that. So I thankfully didn't have to deal with that.
Oh, thank God.
But we did have to deal with people quitting because, you know, our company is going down. So people needed to find certain things for them, which was great. But it left me to pick up their stuff. So I had to learn how to do comp. I had to learn how to do this. I had to become an Excel expert within a matter of a week. So it was just extremely, these past 7-8 months have been extremely
OD difficult, man. Everybody was like, nah, you can take the trainings and see. Everybody always says it's easy. Like, it's not basic.
It's easy once you learn how to actually do it, right?
Yeah.
So now, like, since I've been doing it for like a couple of weeks now, like, I know exactly what to do and how to do the spreadsheet and how to do a pivot table and this and that. Before, like, I knew the basics.
Yeah. Now you learned all the formulas.
You don't really have to know the formulas mainly. It's mainly all about, like, how to do a V lookup and an H lookup and all those different functions that Excel can do. Once you learn how to do that, that's when you're actually set.
That must have been a lot of fun, you know?
Yeah, it was tons of fun.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Well, when you're in quarantine at home, like, you know, there's nothing really else to do. So I guess that was the trade-off for it.
God.
You know?
Wow. Yeah. Now, HR also my favorite part of my HR training, like my official HR training.
You had HR training?
Yeah. And it was, well, you know, I got hired and then, you know, I didn't interview with HR first at the company I worked at. I actually interviewed with the managers and then they told HR, like, all right, we're ready to go with this.
There's some places that do that. I've always been the one person HR except for my last job. So it always had to go through like me.
Wow, you love responsibility, don't you?
I do. I'm actually starting a new job.
Do they
tomorrow.
pay you well for this? Because I'm like all these damn tasks. Like I'm hoping you're making like 6 figures easy. Like you gotta give me that.
Yeah, I mean, it really all depends on the level of HR. Right? So I've been in HR for 13 years now.
Oh yeah, so you up there?
Possibly more. So yeah.
All right, man, that's what's up. Drinks on you. You know what I'm saying? Now, but I was talking about these amazing. They when I did the training, it was through the learning and organizational development.
Okay.
Do you have that? Oh, no. That's so intricate. I'm like, God, there's like a whole class. Like they called it the company's university. And
so that's probably for your separate company itself.
Mm-hmm.
At my prior job, we actually did have our own university there as well. It's all about the training and the discrimination and sexual harassment. You had to go through all of those trainings in order to start with us.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that it was that same thing.
Yeah, there was no sexual harassment. It was pre-Me Too. Let's talk about that actually, the Me Too wave. Like, how's that changed HR? Because, like, you know, now you got to be really, really careful, you know?
I don't really feel like it has. In all honesty, because we've always been that careful. We've never, you know, like you never really crossed that line. That's what HR is there for, is to make you not cross that line, right? So I feel like if anything, people have just become more aware of it. Yeah. But in the HR aspect of things, we've never really crossed that line before.
Have you ever had to do any of that sexual harassment drama?
What do you mean, like the
training? Not the. Well, I'm sure you've been part of the training, but do they come to you with the issue? Like it's something you have to mediate?
Of course.
Oh God.
Of course. Yeah.
What's the funniest story? You know.
I mean, I used to work at a smaller company a couple of years back. And we had a lot of men that worked there, right? It was mainly when I started on board, it was me and maybe 4 other women that worked there. And in total, there were maybe 60 of us. So, I mean, imagine that, right? So it was just a lot more of a ratio to like men. And at some points, like men are men, right? So eventually, like they're going to hit on you. Like they're going to say something that you're going to take the wrong way. I've just learned to like roll with it and just like not really pay attention to it. Others don't do that, and that's fine because that's their right not to do that. So they've come to me to complain, and then I've had to do an investigation and then kind of train that person on what's appropriate to say and what's not. Because a lot of people don't think like certain things are appropriate and certain things aren't. I'm very much that like type that if somebody comes in to interview and I'm the one that answers the like door, because at that certain place I was right by that like door, so I had to. I would have a guy come in and be like, "Oh, I'm interviewing, blah blah blah," and then they would call me love or hun or sweetie, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm HR here. Like, you do not disrespect me in that way.
God, I'm surprised I haven't got fired from my job.
I'm not that like.
I'll be honest with you. When I go to HR, though, I'm like a whole different person.
A lot of people are.
A
lot of people are. Like at my past job, I have to go visit stores, and when I walk in and they know that I'm HR, they change up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, like I don't want you to change up. Like I want you to be you. Like I'm me. I'm not gonna change.
But you're gonna tell them not to be you. They're gonna be them. You're like, you can't be you. Sorry.
I want them to be respectful.
Yeah.
But I feel like they should always be that way at work. Yeah. Right. So you like play a certain role at work, right? So at work, I have to be very much an extrovert. I have to be that like friendly type, that like giddy type, you know, that
bubbly
like
situation.
Bubbly.
Yeah.
And you know me, I am not like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm an introverted person.
Yeah.
I'm extremely introverted. So even to do this here, right? It takes a lot out of me, but I can do it because I have extrovert.
Well, we can stop the interview right now if you want, you know.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you always play a certain role.
That's a fact. No, I hear you.
And I feel like a lot of people, they don't understand that when they come into work, whatever business it actually is, that like they're just themselves and that's it. And it's just like, no, you have to play a certain role. Like, you're here to do a job from 8 to 5 or 8 till whenever. Just do your job right, and just if you need help, I'm always here. But play a certain role. Don't just like be who you are and think that that's okay, because it's just not. It's not okay for anybody really, except for the CEO.
You have to have a work personality, in other words.
Yeah, and I feel like every person does have that. Like any person that's higher up has that, because who I am at home is not who I am at like work.
Okay.
You know, and I feel like a lot of people are like that, but they just don't really say that.
Gotcha. Now let's talk about cultural awareness too, because that's a big deal.
Yes.
You know, you have to know how to deal with different cultures, different ethnicities, what not to say, what to say. Like, how difficult is that for people, especially in this growing, you know, mixed world that we're living in?
Growing now is like different. I've had a lot of culture issues, I'd say, at my last job. Just people saying different things, and I had like one person then call somebody like Aunt Jemima or something, like, what? You know, and it's extremely. And
she got canceled this year too. It's Clyde Franchesca, you know.
Extremely disrespectful. Yeah. But it's also kind of like you have to train, right? It's all about training. It's all about making sure that your employees know what's appropriate to say, what's not appropriate to say, how they can come at somebody, how they can't. It really relies on training. Once you've instilled that like training, and if they still do something, then okay, you're termed. But if you haven't given them that training and they don't know any better, you can't really expect that much from them. You know, so it's not only just the employee itself or themselves, it's about making sure that they have the right skills to succeed in whatever job they actually are in, whether they have to deal with different personalities and different cultures and different backgrounds and stuff like that. This is New York, right? So we're
no, you're dealing with handicapped people, you're dealing with mute people, deaf people, like, you know, it's a whole different ball game over here.
Exactly. So it's just more about opening up your mind and having that like ability to just work with them, even if you don't like them. You know, that's all on you. That's your thing. But at work, like I said, it's a personality thing. You have to kind of change that personality at work to deal with certain individuals that you might not like, because whatever it is, you know, but you have to get the job done at the end of the like day, and that's really what it's about. Now,
do you force the executive to watch the modules and to push that on their under people that their subordinates? Do you push them to watch those kind of modules? Like, do you create like modules and stuff like that? Like, how do they get this training? Is it verbal
trainings?
Yeah, like the trainings. Yeah.
So in the past, like I've created like PowerPoints and stuff like that.
Okay.
I've done the trainings for each department that I've been with, and it's the department head and their employees learning at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And if somebody has a question, they can always ask. But it's mainly instilling what you learn in your day-to-day things. So yes, it has to come from your management team because you look to your manager for everything at that point. And if your manager isn't doing it, then you're not going to want to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just going to be like, well, why do I have to do it if he's not doing it?
That's a fact. Yeah.
You know, so it really has to come down from like them, and they have to instill it and they have to believe in it. Because if you don't, then you're not going to want to do it, and then your employees aren't going to want to do it. And then I literally just did the training for nothing.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to write you up because you're not doing what I'm telling you to do.
Have you ever had an issue with people and they're like, yo, I can't be fake, I can't not be myself? Because I always tell people, you have to have different personalities.
It's not about being fake.
Yeah.
I'm not a fake person. When I'm at work, I'm not fake.
Yeah.
I play a role.
Yeah.
But I'm not fake.
But that's acting. You're being fake. You're pretending
I'm
to be
not-
something
I'm
else.
not
Which
fake.
to me it's fine.
No,
You know what I mean? Like
no.
people don't understand.
So,
like,
so there's a difference. And
enlighten me, please.
I will explain it to you. So I'm not being fake. So fake is someone that will be some way to your face, then turn right back around and like talk about you or whatever it is. I'm not like that. At work, when I walk through those like doors, I'm that extroverted person. I'm that person that anybody can come to, that anybody can trust, because I have to be that person for work.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that
So don't trust you outside of work.
Possibly. But I'm not saying when I like go home,
Yeah.
like I'm like, oh, like fuck this, fuck that. Like
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not
I
like
get you.
that,
I
you
get you,
know?
yeah.
But it's just more about having that extra bit of class, having that extra bit of
Elegance, grace.
professionalism
Yeah.
when you walk through those doors. It's not about being fake.
It's about being classy.
I'm a very classy person in or
Yeah.
out of work.
Yeah.
But when I'm in through those doors, have to be professional. You know,
Gotcha.
I can't curse. I can't come at you a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a little bit
Yeah,
different.
you can't
It's
be
not being
abrasive.
fake.
You
It's
can't be
just-
insidious. You know, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very aggressive person just by nature itself,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm aggressive as well in my role just because I am the HR director or manager or whatever title, right?
Gotcha.
So I've always been that one HR person, so I have to have that aggression, that assertiveness.
Got you.
But you have to do it in a certain way that's not gonna tick somebody off, you know?
Rub them the wrong way, because then
Yeah.
you get more issues on top of those issues.
Exactly, and then you have to deal with that, and then it just spirals from there, and then people learn not to trust you. And in HR, it's all about the employees trusting you and
Yeah.
trusting to go to you for anything that
Yeah.
they actually need.
You're like the den mother, you know.
I'm the psychologist. I'd rather be called like a psychiatrist
What do you
or a psychologist.
what do you study to do HR? You gotta have like multiple degrees, because it sounds like you gotta have like a degree in finance, a degree in
mainly-
psychology. This is crazy.
So no, like my background is psychology.
Gotcha.
So I've dealt with all those personalities and stuff before, you know, but a lot of HR, in all honesty, is mainly on the job training.
Gotcha.
Like you can have all those skill sets and finance and this and that, but if you've actually never done it, you're in for a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of people at my last job, because we were like closing. I had a lot of people tell me that, like people that have never done HR before and like worked in like stores, they're like, oh, like I'm going to go into HR, and I'm just like, so you think you can do what I do?
What?
Really? So you coming to me for every single thing for the past 6 months
Yeah.
means you think you can do what I do?
Yeah.
Okay,
You
sure.
were training them. They were getting to you. That's
Sure.
crazy.
Sure. There's people 100% can reach me and are far above me. I'm not going to say I'm the best, because I'm
Yeah.
100% I'm not. But somebody starting out or somebody that's never done it and is telling you that they can do your job, whether it be HR, whether it be whatever your certain skill set is, you're going to look at them and be like, no, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just dealing with paperwork. It's not just dealing with payroll. It's not just dealing with benefits. It's number one, fighting for employees to have more benefits that they had prior. It's being on their side. It's dealing with every employee relations issues that comes through the door. That's on you. It's dealing with all of that plus your actual paperwork that you do have to do at the end of the day. It's not that easy.
Man.
And people think that it just is.
You have to love working HR.
I do.
You got to be built for it. You have to have a certain
work.
temperament to be in HR.
I do.
I have a lot more respect for you guys now, you know?
Thank you.
That sounds horrible. I would never want to have that job. You must have the patience of a saint. This is crazy.
It's very stressful.
Yeah.
It's very stressful, but one of the things that drives me and one of the reasons why I love my job is because at the end of the year, at the end of the day, when somebody comes to you and they're like, thank you for pushing me, or thank you for doing this or doing that, or without you, I still wouldn't be here. All of that appreciation and that they've shown that towards me, that literally means the world to me.
Oh, that's sweet. That's
and
nice.
So then it's just if I'm able to help you change your life or help you change your mindset or help you keep your job and make you better at it, that's really all I really need.
Yeah, so at HR, you're not really trying to get people fined. You're trying to help. You're trying to foster their growth, I guess you can say.
100%.
Nice.
100%.
Everybody's so scared to go there because they think they're gonna get canned.
They think so because we have to be there or we're the ones to term you. But in all honesty, terming is a lot because it's not just terming you. It's not just letting you go. And number one, it's a lot of paperwork on the back end. And number two, we still have to find somebody to replace you. And then three, when we do find that person, we have to train them too. And that costs money as well. So it's not just because we want to fire you. We're going to fire you if you're doing something wrong or if we've given you enough chances and you still haven't improved, then yes, we're going to fire you.
Wow.
But I'm not just gonna walk in or you're just gonna walk into my office and I'm just be oh, I don't like the way that you're looking at me, you're fired. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. I mean, there's sometimes I wish it was, but it's not that simple.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's wild. Let's talk about that offboarding though.
Sure.
That offboarding must be a lot of fun, man. Have you made people cry before?
I have.
Damn, yo.
And I don't mean to. In all honesty.
Here, take this time out to apologize to that person. Tell them you didn't mean to, you know?
No, and it wasn't. They weren't crying because of me. They were just crying because they were termed.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of emotions when somebody gets termed, right?
Yeah.
And regardless if I like the person or not, it's never fun to term them.
Yeah.
I've termed people that I necessarily didn't get along with, but it wasn't fun for me, you know? It's not fun. I'm having somebody lose their job and they possibly have kids and a family and they have to go back. I don't like that responsibility on me. That's probably one of the worst things about my job.
Really? Trump is available now. Maybe you can hire him.
I would have a fun time firing him. I'd make it very, 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 very right. But no, it's never fun to fire. People think that it is, but in the back end of things, when you really think about it, it's not that you're just terming them from the business. You're changing their lives.
Yeah, man.
Drastically.
But my thing is what did you do to get to that point in life?
What do you mean?
What did they do to get to that point in life? You know, it's you got to look into yourself as well.
Exactly. So it's if we've given you chances, right, and we've given you a performance improvement plan to improve whatever you're doing and telling you that the business is going this way and you're going that way and you need to figure it out. Yeah. And if you still don't, we can't do anything to change that. And unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go. But that's not on us at that point. We gave you that chance. Yeah. But it's still not fun to fire. In all honesty, it's not. It's probably one of the worst things.
What was the worst experience you had behind that table?
When I fired somebody?
Yeah. Did you ever have to fire somebody you liked?
Yeah, I have.
Damn. What was that like?
I have. It wasn't pleasant. But that's also why HR isn't friends.
Yeah.
Isn't friends with
you
people.
Don't give out your number to people.
No.
Definitely
not people.
They'll triangulate your coordinates.
No, I was never allowed to be friends with people that I worked with.
Yeah.
I wasn't. All of the smaller companies that I worked for, and I was the only HR person there. They were don't make friends.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I never understood it, and I hated it because everyone else was friends and they were all going out.
Yeah.
And I felt like the outsider because, like, I couldn't. And they would all ask, and I'm just like, I can't. And then afterwards, they stopped asking because it was, like, so, like, much that I said no.
I can't chill with you guys. You don't get it?
No. But then afterwards, when I realized why they would say that, because I was the one to have to fire. I was the one to have to implement all those different policies and procedures and the changes and stuff like that. And if I'm friends with you, you're not going to take it
if you're partying up like,
seriously.
yo, bitch, but we were just doing Somali the other day. Like, how you going to find me? I didn't show up to work because of you. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. So it's just like,
crazy.
I understood why they said that because I couldn't.
Wow. That must be nuts.
Yeah, but at my last job, it was a little bit different because I wasn't HR for the whole place. I was HR for the stores.
Yeah.
So I had friends that were on the same level as me or a little bit below me. But I had friends there. And I think that's why I loved my last job, because I was able to make friends. And I had that bond, and I had those people that I could, like, get at my frustration on and be like, oh, do you know, like, this happened, that happened? They're like, oh, my God, really? Like, you know, like, I had those people that I could go to. But in the past, I never did.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
What happened? COVID got to that place?
Unfortunately.
Damn, COVID gets everywhere, man. It's
COVID
like the shit
gets
that'll never leave.
everywhere. Like, I'm going to miss that job so much. I mean, I've started a new job tomorrow. But again, I'm the only HR person.
Yeah.
So.
Damn, because now you got to create all this, like, policies and procedures, because you have to, if you're like the only one, you really have to stay on board with that, right? I mean, stay on point with that.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm walking into. I'm very excited, but I'm very anxious and nervous as well. So we will see how that turns out.
Well, hopefully, if they let you hire a team, you hire whoever you want, and then, you know, you can make friends with them, you know?
No, I can't.
Because the HR people always hang out with each other. Like, what happens when you have to fire? What happens when you have to fire your own HR person? Do usually HR people even get fired?
Not really, no.
No, right? I never hear that, yo. That's crazy.
Not really, no.
I never heard, yo, that girl from HR got fired.
Because I feel like we're on a different level, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not that we don't do things wrong. So I feel like in HR person is a little bit different, right? So we have no issue taking accountability for things that we do wrong. We have no issue for righting our wrongs. We have no issue for actually being like, I was the one to fuck up. Let me fix it by doing this, and that.
Gotcha.
So I feel like since we're from a kind of a little bit of a different cut, that's why a lot of us, if you're good at what you do, you don't really have to go down that path of getting fired, as long as you make your wrongs right. If I don't take accountability, or if I'm like, no, well, she did that, so let her fix it, I would probably get fired too.
Gotcha.
Because we're not that type of people. We're like, okay, maybe she had done it wrong, but I'm going to go and do it right. That's the kind of mind frame that you have to have in order to succeed in any really position that you are in. Because it's not just you, it's your whole team.
Yeah.
And if one person does one thing wrong, okay, fine. Don't like make a huge deal about it. Just go and fix it. Even if you weren't the one to do it wrong, fix it.
Got you.
I don't see how that's such a big deal to people. And you'd be
well,
surprised.
some people, no, I mean, I am surprised, but I'm not surprised. It's like, really, you really got to adjust your personality.
You do. It's
but
team
I think
effort.
it goes back to that thing like, oh, I don't want to be fake, but it's not being fake. It's like you said, you have to have a work flow,
the work personality.
Yeah, work personality.
That's
you know
just
what
it's what it is. It's not about being fake, but it's also about not even having a work personality at that point. It's about making the business grow and having passion for what you actually do. So if Sally wronged this certain thing and you know how to fix it, why are you making such a big deal about it? Just go and fix it. Yeah. I don't understand why people need that. I don't understand why people need that appreciation factor or that acknowledgement that they fix certain things. Like, eventually people don't understand that eventually when they do certain things right, people see it. You don't have to tell them that. Yeah. You know, like, you don't have to be like, oh, I fixed this and I did this and I did that. No, it's a team effort. I don't think I've ever used the word I. It's always been about the team. We. Or like my team. You know, like I've always been that certain way that it's not just me doing it, because it's not at the end of the day. Like, I might have made a certain project or report that we had needed or something, but at the end of the day, it's a team effort. And a lot of people don't really see that. They're just looking out for themselves. And then that's when they get into issues because they don't want to fix a certain thing because they don't want their name on something that had to be fixed. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
But there you go, guys. You gotta adjust.
You have to be part of a team. It's about anything, really.
Yeah.
Like in any business relationship, it's being part of a team.
Yeah.
In any personal relationship, you're a team, right?
Yeah.
When it's you and your girlfriend or your boyfriend, like it's part of a team. It's not like, oh, like she did that wrong, so I'm just gonna let her fix it. No, like when you're together with some person, like you go and you fix it together or you teach the other person how to fix it. It's all about working part of a team.
Now, what do you tell the executives that manage these teams? Like, because there's always issues with supervisors and managers, man. Like, they're not taking care of their business because they're not treating the team as a team, or they're belittling them, or they're chastising them, but they're not coming up with like
chastising. That's a wrong word to use.
You know.
It's just about training. It's management training.
Because they're not sensitive, these executives and these supervisors, man. They get a little bit of power.
Some of them are.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some of them are. Some of them are because they understand what it is to find somebody that does what their employees do and have to train them, right? So it's kind of like if during like performance evaluations, if your supervisor knows what you do, but there's something you need to improve upon a certain thing, a lot of people aren't willing to state that because they're afraid that you're just going to leave. And then they're going to have to train a whole new person to come in, and that takes a lot of time. Yeah. So there's some supervisors that aren't willing to actually give you the criticism that you need to like grow and to expand. Yeah. And then you have those others that they're very higher powered and they think that they own you, and that's not right either. But either which way, they all need to go through the same exact training. And whenever that does happen, HR is there for the employees to go to them and for them to tell them what exactly had happened and for an investigation to be formed at that point. You know, it's not okay for somebody to come in and put you down every 5 seconds. Like, that's not what a job is about.
Man, I feel like going to HR all the time, but I'm like, I don't want to deal with the fallout, man. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like there's fallout, man, because all of a sudden, you know, they go up to the supervisor, and then all of a sudden the supervisor knows that it's you, and it's like, yo, how you know it's me, man? Like, you know, there's like 12 people on my squad. How you know it's not somebody else? You know, because I feel like people have a lot of fear to go to HR and really discuss the issues, man. Because I've heard a lot of stories, man, especially during the COVID situation. Like, they don't have the right equipment to be working where they want to work, and they're regional managers who could probably fire them on the spot or asking them to do things that are not healthy, putting them in harm's way, and they're scared to say something because they have 3 kids and they don't want to lose their bread. Yeah.
No, I get it. And that's why it's very important to have that trust between you and your HR partner. Gotcha. Right? It's very important to have that, like, trust. It's very important to be able to go to them for anything, because that's what HR, in all honesty, is there for. It is to help you and to help you do your job right. Yeah. Now, if you don't feel safe, or if you feel like you're being talked down to and you've tried to fix it on your own, but you're just too scared to, then go to HR. That's what they're there for. If they're not going to help you, then why are they even there in the first place? You know, like, I help every single person that comes to me. I don't turn them away at all, and there's no fallout. There's not allowed to be a fallout. Yeah. You know, so whatever, if you say something against your supervisor, then there's an investigation that's formed. But at the end of the day, whatever issue is, it might get cleared up. And then you might have a better relationship with that person that you didn't think liked you, or that was putting you down, or that was trying to push you, but they just didn't know how to go about that certain way. They were doing it wrong. Because
I've had supervisors tell me, who do you think you are, type of situation, man. Because, like, you know, it's not that I'm confrontational, but I'm not scared to speak up. Like, I go with the flow, man. Like, I'm confident in my abilities to get other jobs. That's about having
that work personality, though, too. You have to know your place as well.
Yeah, but I mean, if your supervisor's coming at you crazy, man, sometimes you got to pump their brakes. I mean, you know.
That's when you go to HR. You do not pump your like brakes. That's your work personality.
Really? So don't pump brakes, everyone. Don't be like me.
It's about no, because then at that point you're kind of looked at as like a challenge. because you went against a superior that was above you. You know, so it's kind of like you don't really want to do that because number one, once you pass that bridge, that level of respect isn't there.
Yeah.
And then if you don't respect the person that you're working for, you're not gonna be able to work with them. So instead of doing that, you go to HR, and then if you need to talk it out between you and him, then you guys go into a separate room, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But do never belittle anyone, really. But if you feel like that confrontation coming on and that you need to speak up, never do it in front of anybody else.
Wow. I wish I would have talked to you before all
Never
my conversations with bosses over the years.
That's the worst thing that you could possibly do.
I'm the worst.
Because
I'm better off here on the podcast, just talk it out. You know?
Well, because in all honesty, if you do that and then you go to HR, I can't help you at that point.
Yeah.
You already passed that line.
So, all right. So you have to complain. Complaining is good because it gets it off your chest, and then, you know, you don't come at somebody crazy.
Yeah.
You know, we're keeping it real on the Angel of Words podcast. You know what I'm saying?
If you have a job, the word to complain.
But it's what it is. You're going to HR to complain, and how do you say?
You're voicing your issue.
Yes, complaining. You're getting stuff off your chest. I mean, I guess it's like therapy in a sense.
Exactly. That's why I say I'm a psychologist, right? So you're just making your issue known before it gets to a certain level where you're not going to be able to back down from.
There you go, guys.
That's really what it is.
Take a deep breath.
Exactly. And it's having that work personality in order to be able to take that deep breath.
You know what's so crazy? I always used to make fun of people that are always going to HR for every little thing. But I guess that's
these days?
Yeah.
You have to these days.
Really? God. See, that's so great because that now changes my mentality. Well, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back into that corporate world ever again in a different manner, you know, but still, like, it's good to know that because I can spread this knowledge on to other people that I know and be like, look, just go to HR, just, you know.
That's really what
that's
it is.
Because people get made fun of because there's a culture of you make fun of the person that's always going to HR, but they're actually doing the right thing.
But the whole thing is, I've created so I'm a little bit different than the typical HR person, right?
Gotcha.
I'm not that HR person that sits behind their desk the whole entire day. I'm that person that goes out, that gets to know my employees, that talks to them not just about business but about personal as well. Because you know we all like to think that our personal lives stop when we enter through those doors, but they definitely don't.
Yeah.
All right. So when I speak to my employees about like their personal life or whatever is going on, and they get like certain things off their like chest, it helps them work better and it helps them be more efficient. So I'm the type of person, the HR person, that goes to each desk and just talks to them for like 5 minutes and making sure that their mind is set and that their mind is right. And then that helps me with the whole trust factor, right? So when they need me for stuff, they don't see it as going to HR. They see it as going to the person that I actually trust. So it's a little bit of a different mindset. If you are working with an HR person, they might not be the same as me. I feel like I'm a little bit different cut just because I've started from the ground up with HR. So I've learned a little bit differently. I've learned to get into the trenches and if like IT department needed help, then I go and help them. You know, I'm not just an HR person.
Yeah.
And a lot of HR people aren't like that. So, I mean, I understand if people don't feel comfortable going to them, but that's what they are there for. And if you don't feel comfortable going to them, just explain to them, you know, this person, I understand he's my team lead or whatever he is, but he had stated this to me and I don't feel that it's right and I'm not comfortable working with him and I'm coming to you before anything further goes wrong.
Got you.
Because I just want it down on paper that I came to you. At least you have that backing if something does happen in the future.
Wow. I'm happy I'm not a corporate.
You always need to have your like back covered.
Well, you know, Catholics are impervious to like psychology, man, you know. It's unfortunate, you know. I can't see myself going to HR. I'd rather just deal with the situation head on. You know?
No, you need to have your back covered.
Yeah.
And the like number one rule that I even go by, that I've gone by for years, is if it isn't written down, it didn't happen.
Wow, that is so true. That is the world we live in.
My number one rule.
That was my biggest. That's actually literally like my biggest judgment. That's when I realized, like, oh God, like really, like
don't take anybody's word for anything.
Yeah,
make them write it down.
Gotta write it down. Damn.
100%.
Wow. God, snitch, baby. Snitch all day, you know?
But it's
And then
not
people
about
wonder why we live in such a
snitching.
snitching culture.
It's not about
But
snitching.
it is.
It's about keeping your like
no, I'm
job.
just saying. I'm just joking.
It's not about snitching. Don't like change it. It's just about keeping your job and making sure that it doesn't become toxic.
Gotcha.
Nobody likes going into a toxic environment, you know? So
yeah.
it's mainly just keeping the peace.
God, so you just like keeping freaking diaries, books of diaries of people's issues with
Dude,
each
I
other?
could probably like write like a book or like sell
Oh
like a
my
movie.
God, but we'll talk
like,
about that
I've
later,
done.
man. Yeah, you know, I'll help you write it. You know, that's my specialty.
Yeah.
We'll make some bread. That's crazy.
Of course.
God, that must be nuts, man.
It does become nuts, but at the end of the day, I kind of love it.
All right. When did you realize you loved it? What made you want to get into this field to begin with?
So I actually used to be a social worker, caseworker.
Oh God.
I loved my kids, dude.
Yeah?
I would do anything for like those kids. Yeah, they were like the baddest of the bunch, but they were my heart.
Okay.
Like I loved them to death. I still keep in touch with some of them, and it's been over 10 years. But that job doesn't pay, unfortunately. And that job was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That job was heartbreaking, seeing a kid getting taken away from their parents, or having one of the kids tell me that they love me more than their own mom just because like I do more things for them. You know, like it was heartbreaking.
Social work is heartbreaking,
It's
man.
such
I really hope with this new administration that they start paying these people, man.
I give them all the respect in the world, because they definitely need a lot more money than what they're making to like deal with it. But unfortunately, I had to get my bills paid, you know. And it wasn't even just that, because at the end of the like day, it's not really just about the money factor. But I couldn't take it. Like my heart just couldn't take it. Like I was so deep in it, and I loved my kids so much. I couldn't do it. I couldn't take it.
I mean, you could only be in a somber place for so long, man, before you start breaking down. You know, it's not easy. It's not for everyone. You know,
it definitely isn't for everyone. Like I was there for about three years, I'd say. But yeah, it was just it was heartbreaking. But now I'm actually I do like a side gig kind of. I'm an HR director for a nonprofit. Okay. So we haven't started yet. We're a startup, but we should be opening our doors in the new year. It's for like high schoolers that want to that are more musically inclined and want to practice music at like a college level or professional level and stuff like that.
Really? What's the name of this not-for-profit that's opening up?
Music Breeds.
Music Breeds is where? It's in New York City?
It's on Long Island, actually.
Oh, okay.
But we're accepting kids like from all over.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's something great that we're trying to start. The founder is a musician himself. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of an amazing thing that I'm able to give back like I used to, right? Because like I loved my social work world because it was a lot. It was very satisfying in the fact that I was able to change people's lives and stuff like that, right? But now with Music Breeds, I'm on the HR side of things, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I'm able to kind of do both, you know? So, I mean, that's why I like my job now. But in Music Breeds, you should go check it out. We are actually doing a turkey giveaway next Saturday.
Nice. Those turkeys can be expensive, man.
They can be expensive. So for the 200
Oh, you order them too, right? You're the one that orders them. Like,
no. He actually did. Right. He's actually very
he probably saw the
involved. I haven't. But yeah, no. So for the first 200 people, we're giving away the free turkeys, and we're giving them like a little brochure of what we're gonna do and what we're trying to do and stuff like that. So.
I love the arts. That's awesome, man. 100%. You're doing a great thing. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
Wow. And you get the kids around you, but you don't have to deal with them so intensely, you know?
Very true, very true.
Well, Miss Carrasco, we've reached a point in the podcast where we're gonna play 5 Words with Angel. On 5 Words with Angel, I'm gonna give you a word or a phrase. You're gonna tell me the first thing that comes to your head, the first word or phrase that comes to your head. Okay. The first word is learning and organizational development.
HR.
The second word is offboarding.
HR.
The third word is children.
Social work.
Nice. The fourth word is social work.
Giving back.
Nice. And the fifth word is, are you ready?
I'm scared.
Compliance.
HR, I guess.
Oh.
HR is...
Damn, HR's on your mind, you know, like Georgia for my man Ray Charles, man. Like,
but I feel like compliance, you like feel like it's a lot greater than it really is, and it's really not. That's the most straightforward part of HR that there is a compliance piece.
Got you.
It's very straightforward. It's just laws.
Well, you got to know the laws. Did you study law at all while you there? While were you in college? Or not?
No, but there's a lot of like what websites you can go to to like keep up with the laws and stuff.
Such
like that.
as let our audience know.
You can go to SHRM. SHRM is probably the #1 HR website.
Yeah.
So you can go to SHRM. There's also hrlaw.com also.
Is that public? Like you don't have to pay for those services?
You do have to pay for it.
You do have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Okay, but just let us know.
So usually the job that you are at, they'll usually pay the membership for you. It's only like $200 or like $300 or something.
Okay.
And then that way you can keep up to date with whatever laws there is that's changing and stuff.
Wow, that's fantastic though. At least you're able to stay abreast of what's going on.
You know,
because these things change all the time. You know, I used to tell my bosses, like, you want us to get to work, but we got trainings. Like, we got to do these trainings because these things change yearly.
You have to, yeah.
You know? They want us to just breeze through it. I'm like, dude, like, now if I get in trouble, like, you know what I mean? I'm messed up because it's like.
You should be like, I have an HR friend that tells me.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm going to be like, I yelled at you because you didn't, I didn't read that you couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Nobody told me any better, you know? Sometimes people got to tell you these things, you know? It's not like things you're really going out to look for on the internet.
No, 100%. And I feel like it's more about being in the work world and learning what is appropriate and what isn't.
Yeah.
You know, like more than half the things that I know now, I didn't know when I first started.
Well, that's good. That's good, man, because, you know, we actually do lose sight of that. I'll be honest. I'm guilty as charged, man. That's why I'm like, I got to do a podcast and just be in my own world where I make my own rules. Because it's like, you know, you have to stay abreast of these things. Like, the world changes. There's things that's inappropriate. You know, you're dealing with religion. You're dealing with cultures. You're dealing with so many different factors, you know, in the work world nowadays, especially if you're working in New York City. Yeah. You know, that's so diverse. You know, there's not like one culture. There's a plethora of different ways that people act, you know, because of the way they were brought up. So you really have to be on point with things of that nature. What would you tell anyone that wants to get into this line of work? You know, give a message to my audience right here.
I'd say figure out if you have the patience, number one, to deal with.
How do you test your patience along the years?
You mean, how do people test my patience?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just being able to deal with the patients and deal with the stress. Knowing how to deal with stress is very important in whatever job you're in. Whenever I feel like my patience is going or I feel too stressed, I literally just leave and I take a walk, and then I'm able to take a breather, and then I come back. I feel, for me at least, that's the most effective way that I can like release some stress besides me just going off, because I'm not going to do that, you know? Yeah. So it's mainly making sure you have the patience for it, making sure that your stress level, you can keep that under control, that you're able to multitask, and that you're passionate for it. Yeah. And I feel like that's in any job, like in any job that you do have, whether it be HR, whether it be engineering or finance or something, you have to have passion for what you like do. Because if you're just there from 8 to 5 and you're just doing whatever it is to get the job done, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be stressed. And that's not the way to live a life.
And you are satisfied with what you're doing right now.
I love what I do.
You love what you do. All right, that's great to know, man, because a lot of people do these jobs, like you said, just to get a paycheck.
A lot of them do, because a lot of them haven't been able to find themselves and don't really know, I guess, what they do, or they just fell into it or something like that, you know? I love what I do because I'm able to help the employees be like better and be a better version of themselves, and being able to improve on certain skill sets that they never really were able to prior. And I'm also able to help the side of the business grow as well. So it's not just me helping them, but they're also helping me because I'm growing as well. You know, and I guess certain people have a mindset like me, that I'm very much that growth person. I'm very much that wanting to learn, that wanting to improve my own skill set, that I never really stop learning. that whatever business I do go to, I'm always learning something different or a better way to do this or a better way to do that. And that's what I expect from my employees too.
Would you ever start your own HR consulting firm?
I do actually. During the COVID thing, I looked into it a lot, and I do want to. It's just scary.
Yeah.
Because as being HR, I do like having that structure. So which is why I did the Music Breeds thing, because that's my first, I'd say, consulting gig. So I'm starting off small, but eventually I'll get there. I just need to have that backing as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to build that from the ground up, because if you're going to start a firm, it's a whole big thing, man.
It's huge. And like, I feel like if I had a husband or something, it would be different, because I would have him as like my structure, my support in that aspect of things, but I don't. So it's just on me.
That's it, man. Better off. You have to deal with a different personality, 100%, man. Go do what you got to do. 100%. That's it.
So I feel like it's on me to sink or swim, and I'm not the type of person to fail. So I need to make sure that I am structured in my own way in order to succeed, whether it being one consulting gig there and another one here. But at some point, I'll get some more. At some point.
Got you. And what do you study to get into this before we end the podcast?
I studied psych.
Okay.
So
but what other things can you study to get into this field?
You can study HR. You can get your master's in HR. I think I went into the perfect field for it, just because you are dealing with all different types of personalities, right? So it's more about being able to have that mindset to switch it on and off to whoever you're speaking to and stuff like that. Having a background in psychology has helped me a lot in my work, and I feel any other field wouldn't have helped me out as much.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Carrasco, thank you for being part of the Angel of Words podcast and dropping that HR knowledge. I'm telling you, I learned a lot today. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning with a fresh new idea on life, and I'm going to get online and find out what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, so I don't get in trouble and never have to go see mom at HR. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in, everyone, and we'll be talking to you next week.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed my interview with Human Resource Director and expert, Miss Franchesca Carrasco, who was here dropping the knowledge on what we need to do to make sure that we keep our jobs and are comfortable at our jobs. Now, folks, you can find me on YouTube at Angel of Words ENT by clicking on the notification bell. We are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. The Cash App is AOWENT if you want to leave a donation. And if you want to know what I'm up to on my social media and get that secret content, follow me at Angel of Words ENT, all one word. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Talk to you later.